Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if this is not your first time here, or welcome if this is your first time here. I'm super excited to have you here. I'm going to be doing the review for the Ghost Facelifts palette from Glamlite. I do also have the highlighter. That is it that I did pick up from the collection, but I'm super excited. Sorry, my camera just moved. I am trying out a new rating system that I kind of have come up with things that I find important to me or whatever. So if you're curious for all of that, for a look tutorial, all that fun stuff, let's go ahead and delve on in. I am going to go ahead and first start off with the tutorials. So let's zoom in with that. So I'm going to start off with this e.l.f. blending brush, dipping in with the shade Chilled Frost, this matte tannish shade. I'm going to start tapping that into the inner third of my eye. Using our same brush, I'm just going to flip it over and dip in with shadows back. Tapping that into the center of the eye. I'm a little carried away with this shape, but that's fine. I'm just going to flip my brush back over again and go back in with that original lightest shade. Just to tap over. To add a little bit of depth, I'm just going to take this Colored Rain small blending brush, dipping in with the black shade Vintage Mask. As I'm kind of looking at this palette, I do wish that there were some more tones to use with these two, because these are the only two I haven't used yet. I was going to use one of these grays, but I don't know. I feel like these two go well, and this almost is gray, so it can kind of work. But I don't know, I just don't really know what other shade would work to deepen. So, I don't know. We'll just use the black. I'm just going to apply that to the outer third of the eye. Now, I do think this middle shade might be a green. I am kind of colorblind, and I will mention it in a little bit about my rating system because this brand did not have any shade descriptions on their website that I saw, so bummer there. Okay, I'm just taking the same brush and I'm just gonna start tapping over this middle shade to help it to blend. What I want to use next. I'm going to go ahead and dip into a slightly different brush. This is a Melt Brush Transition 87. I'm going to go ahead and move away from this blending brush from e.l.f. because I just feel like it's a little too dirty right now. So taking this brush, I'm just going to start, I think, softening out this black a little bit. I almost want to dip in with a teensy-weensy bit of shadows back. Just apply that near the black to help that to blend out more. And I'm really just pulling it out. So far playing with this palette, all the shades do blend out really well. As you are seeing kind of live in front of you, I think they all blend super well together. I don't think necessarily we need a deeper shade. I mean, I kind of am wanting maybe a slightly different shade to blend out this shadows back a little bit more, especially if this is a green. The black is great, but again, as we kind of delve into the review later on, you will see my feelings. I mean, I guess I'm going to say it here. These two shades are extremely similar, which a lot of people have mentioned in their reviews. You could have done another shade because I really feel like these two kind of are pretty random in this palette, which is fine because it has a shimmer I feel like goes really well, but I need something else to blend it in with. But it is blending in well. I'm just gonna have to, if you saw my last video that I did, which was the from Sugar Drizzle Polish, or I think it's just Sugar Drizzle Cosmetics, whatever, I had to use like 2 shades. They didn't have a lot of shades like in their palette to mix together to kind of create my own custom shade. So that's all I'm doing. I am just going back in with that small blending brush from Colored Rain, dipping in with shadows back. I will be going, with shadows back. I will be going probably a little back and forth between shadows back and Vintage Mask the black to get the depth that I am looking for. But I think we're actually, to be honest, we're pretty good. I'm just going to take a bit more of vintage mask to get that nice sooty blackness that I like. Winding back out with the Transition 87 on a random note. I'm like really tempted to check out Melt Cosmetics for Black Friday. When I got this brush bundle, these brushes are like nice. I really, really, really like them, and I want more of the like eye brushes. I've never used any of their face brushes, but these I definitely would like. Okay, let's go ahead and dip into some shimmers. So like normal, I'm just gonna take some NYX glitter primer. Put that on my hand. Don't judge me. I'm gonna use one of these Morphe at 124s. I just really like this small shape of this brush. I've really been loving these. I'm trying to transition some of my brushes away from Morphe because I do have so many Morphe, and Morphe's just not a brand that I support anymore. I'm just gonna apply this onto the eyelid. So I really want to check out some more brushes and sets. I am gonna get the Singe Beauty brush set. I do hope they do a Black Friday sale, but regardless, I do just want to pick up that brush set to play around with. I also really want to try a Sigma one day, but Sigma's a bit more like pricey. I don't know why I just did that. I'm really trying to work on not wiping my brush off with when I have the glitter glue, because I really feel like it just picks up the glitters a lot better. But I'm going to dip in with the shade Vengeful Spirit. I think I'm going to pat that into the... Let's go about the first inner third. I'm not going to go quite into the front, just in case the shade is darker than I'm thinking. Yeah, it looks like it is. Like a mid-toned. It might be green, I really don't know, but it has some really pretty shimmer. I did buy the highlighter. I might use that for the inner corner. I hope you can see the reflectiveness. It's really pretty. I usually will also just take my finger a bit more just to make sure everything is nice and packed on there well. Oh, that is so pretty. Okay, so for the darker shimmer, and unfortunately there's basically almost one, is Masked Mystery. Same brush, tapping onto that outer edge, and in the center-ish, outer center, whatever. I actually really, really like this shade. I love the depth that it gives. Now, you will see when we transition to the review portion of this, I'm not really in love with, they do have two pseudo sequin shades, which are like matte with some glitter, but I will go ahead and use one of them just to kind of show you one thing that I found that I really actually do enjoy them for. Sorry if you heard that. It's my speaker. So I'm going to take Total Suspense. The glitter in this, I'm not going to lie, it's pretty. Like, you can probably see it, but it's... I just want more. But that's not what we're talking about here. So, Total Suspense on my brush. So what I've actually really loving for these shades is it makes a really nice transition from your matte shadows to your shimmers, because a lot of times it can be hard to blend. It's already up on my Instagram. I did like a halo eye with this palette. I think the first look I did with this palette. And I did like the shimmer, let's see, Midnight Robe in the center. And then I used, I think it was either Ghostface Lives, this gray sequiny kind of shade, or the black one, the Total Suspense, to tap it out. And it worked so freaking good. It worked so good. I was like literally obsessed. I'm obsessed with how this looks though. This is giving me like grunge and so pretty. I'm just gonna go ahead and get this side caught up real quick, and then we will come in to play with some of the highlighter. So I have all of those, or these two sides, and now caught up because I am silly. I did forget to show you like the bottom. So I'm actually just realized I don't have anything underneath my eyes. Let me fix that real quick. I've just been using a little bit of my foundation as my base because my eyes have been really watery, and I'm not sure if it's like the Milani primer or not. So I'm just taking a little break from it to see if that is the issue. I'm just going to go ahead and take a pencil brush. This is one from Glamlite, the Scooby-Doo collection. It has no name yet, just a green pencil brush. Use whatever you have. I'm basically just going to use the same colors, so chilled frost into the like front part, then using shadows back into the middle and a little bit of vintage mask on the like outer edge. I'm just gonna go ahead and take our melt brush that we used earlier, that Transition 87 brush, and just soften that out. That's a little bit of residual color from us blending out earlier, so let's use my sponge just to soften that. I don't think I'm gonna do any liner because I just don't feel like it. I will be curling at my lashes, and then weirdly enough, I was using this morning. I'm actually kind of really falling in love with it. The Melt Super Natural Mascara. I did like a couple of layers, and I just liked how it looked. I actually like how kind of wet the formula feels, which is kind of weird because most of the time I prefer a drier formula, but yeah, so let me get caught up and then we will be back for the highlighter. Okay, time to bust in our highlighter. So this is what the highlighter itself looks like. It does have the two slip pans. You can probably see mine has, or it has the imprint. My little goose face is getting a little messed up. I don't quite know how I feel about this. There, you can kind of see it. I think it's cute, but also I'm like, I don't know if it's necessary. Real quick, let me just show you. It kind of reminds me of, oh, mine's a little dirty. Sorry. But if you remember the Scooby-Doo one, I believe this is from last year. I don't... Well, they actually did do an imprint, so I'm losing it. But they did more of like an imprint. It was like a bat or something. So you might sorry, it's upside down. You might faintly be able to see it. I don't know. I feel like it was just a better idea. I don't hate this per se. Oh. And I do think it is going to last, but just knowing eventually it will fade. It is a cute little idea, but it's not, you know, super necessary. I still think this is pretty. This is cool. I like this. Yeah, this is fun. Anyways, okay. Let me delve into our highlighter one. Again, judge me if you want. I'm going in with another Morphe M152. I really just like the shape of this one. It's just like a really little flat, but like it's just a good brush. So I'm gonna go ahead and take one of the bottom shade, dipping in with the brush. I usually do spray my like highlighty shimmers, so lately I've just been using this Pixie Hydrating Mist. I'm just gonna apply this mainly into the inner corners. Whoa. So blingy. It's like I just like the size of this brush. And then we'll go ahead and take a little bit as well. I'm not gonna spray, I don't think. Right now, just onto the brow bone. So pretty. And I really do agree with what somebody else had said. It might have been Angie Angelica Unique Best who said that the base is more sheer. I'm not really quite sure. I have been watching other people's videos recently just to kind of see what they, you know, the main ones right now who are getting all the PR and stuff, or who did get the PR, see kind of how they feel about it, what they're saying. So she was mentioning that the base is a bit more sheer, which means it can work for multiple skin tones, and I do agree with that. I mean, I think, again, I haven't really seen this on a lot of skin tones, but I was scared to use this shade because normally a shade like that would be like too dark on my skin tone. So the fact that it worked out, I was like, okay, pleasantly surprised and happy. I just realized I'm not wearing lipstick. Oops. I feel like I was going to. What is wrong with me? Well, we'll mediate that in a second. Can't not be wearing our lipstick. I did not pick up any of the lipsticks, if you were curious, because If you know me, I'm not a lip gloss girly. I'm not a bold lip gloss girly. And I think even the shades that they have are like nude or like a red or whatever, which is pretty, but I don't know. You know what? Maybe we'll use a Glamlite red because I do have one. I do have one. Maybe we'll wear that. But first, let's go ahead and bust out some highlighter. I did not pick up the blush. Should I wear a blush? I don't have the blush that I was thinking of, but let's go ahead and I have from the Scooby-Doo collection earlier this year, the little blush duo, so I think I'm going to dip into the pinkier shade. Back in with the highlighter, I'm just taking, I absolutely love this brush. This is the setting brush from Real Techniques, literally my probably favorite highlighter brush. I just like how small it is. So dipping in with the top shade, let's call it Ghost Face shade. Again, I'm gonna spray. Should I do like one spray and one not side so you can see the difference? The shine is so, it's like, I almost feel like it's between being like over the top and like being like natural. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's a lot more glowy, I feel like, then, especially again comparing it to this one from last year. I think these were a lot more like glittery. I mean, beautiful. I hope you can see that. So pretty. Here, let's do a little swatchy on my hand just to compare. I just messed up his face like an idiot. I wasn't thinking. Yeah, you can definitely, I hope you can see that. I feel like you can definitely tell that this, so yeah, you can kind of see, this is glowy, right? Nice and glowy. This is like an eyeshadow. Do you see that like shift where it's like hitting the light? This is a lot more blingier and glitterier. Grammar. Love that for me. Let me go ahead, so dipping back in with that the same shade, the Ghost Face shade. Not sprayed. Let's go ahead and apply it to this side of the face. This side I feel like looks a lot more blingier. This side is just more glowy. So I guess that is good in that aspect if you are wanting a more kind of, yeah, I feel like you can see it. It's really nice. I feel like if you want like something a bit more like natural, just like glowing from within versus this is like, yeah, that's highlighter for sure. So I do really like that you're able to have kind of both finishes just by spraying, but I'm going to take a little on the nose. And because I didn't do the lip, let's do a little on the cupid's bow. Cool. Okay. Let me line my lips real quick, and then we will bust out our red. Lips are lined, just use a little bit of MAC Cherry Lip Pencil. So I'm not 100% sure, so I do apologize if this color is still available from Glamlite. I've had mine for a long time. This is just, I mean, kind of a relic, I guess, by now, but this is from the Red Velvet palette, I think it was, with the collection. So the shade is just Red Velvet. That is what that looks like. Okay, I did not put mascara on, so I'm going to do that real quick, and then we will be back to actually do my rating system for this palette, so hold on 1 second. Alright, and we are back after the tutorial. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Let me know down below what you do think of it, if you are going to try and create something similar yourself. So, how my rating system basically is going to work is I kind of just went with things that are important to me, and hopefully you as well, or people I've seen on Instagram, all that stuff. So all of that has really kind of come into that. So the newest thing that I think is actually interesting that I do have up first is, did they pay an artist to design, for the palette, or is it AI? And the main reason, and this goes really back to my last video, is that it has come to my attention that some brands are utilizing AI for their palettes, and Z-Rain is the newest that I have heard of, which, again, it's a very, I don't even know the correct way to say it, but it's a topic that I think is, kind of difficult, but I think the biggest thing is that AI basically is computer generated. Usually it's taken from other artists, not creating their own content. As far as I know, a lot of people say that AI is basically plagiarism. It is taken from other artists, and the brand, instead of paying such artist, is paying AI. Now, if you have any knowledge about AI or whatever, let us all know down below in the comments. I'm sure a lot of us are curious about it. Ensley Rain did, have, I was like reading through and they had like a series of comments where they were kind of defending why they used AI. They did say that they worked with an artist who utilized AI, which is kind of confusing because I don't know if you're, if I draw a picture and then I put that through AI, is that still my art technically? But, I don't know, it's confusing. So I did email Glamlite just yesterday, sadly, so they have not gotten back to me yet, of course, because hello, it is the weekend. Oh, if you don't know, it's Saturday. So they will, I'm assuming, get back to me hopefully on Monday to find out what I'm assuming, and kind of made sense. I feel a little silly sending an email, but also I'm happy I did because, I think I do want to know, but most of their stuff that they do is licensed. So it is going to make sense that the fonts and everything, or the faces and all of that, are licensed and created from who even knows. I don't fully know how that works. So we're going to say, at least in this situation, hopefully it is somebody on their team. I do think that's what I'm hoping for. So that is rating system number 1. So we're gonna say that is a positive for Glamlite. So yay, Glamlite, if we are if that is true. So definitely check my description box. That will be in there for sure. Next up, is the palette magnetic? So unfortunately, no, this palette is not magnetic. Same with the highlighters. Are there any dud shades? Happy to say there are not any dud shades in this palette. Absolutely happy with that. I feel like most palettes nowadays, it's going to be kind of more of a rarity if there is a dud shade, but it does happen. And so I'm happy to say that it is no dud shades, at least for mine in this palette. Any repeat shades? This was specifically created because of this palette. Alright, to me, these two are so, oops, wrong side. These two, so similar. I really don't know why they have them right next to each other, and I think it was, Angelica Nicholas was the only video that I do remember saying that they're very similar. I know that she does have some form of a relationship with the brand, not saying she's not being honest, because she was, obviously, she did say that they were similar, but she didn't, delve in, I guess, as maybe myself would. I feel these are really quite similar, if not almost identical. They are not exactly the same. They are a hair off, but you don't need both. You don't need both. I mean, in all honesty, when I'm using this palette, I'm kind of just like, oh, which gray do I want to use today? Which mid-tone gray do I want to use today? So, at least in that respect, the same shade that I see. So, that is kind of a bummer, but, whatever. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and delve into, this is just a random for myself as in terms of organizing it. So all of my palettes I do have usually sitting like this on a shelf. You can kind of hopefully see behind me. And I would appreciate it when brands put what the palette is on the side. This is unfortunately not. It is on the back, it is on the front. That's great and dandy, but my palettes are not just going to be sitting like this. They're going to be stored on a shelf, and for me, it's just going to make it way easier. So that is something I want a lot more brands to do. I'm not really sure about the whole cost aspect of that. I'm sure it's going to increase the cost a teeny bit, but at least for me, I'd much rather have it. I really just feel like it is something that they should take into consideration. Okay, so next up, does it have any mattes with glitter, aka sequin shades? So sequin shades is pulled more from, if anybody is familiar with Tati Westbrook. She did have her beauty line at one point. I think it was just called Tati Beauty, I think. In her palette, she did have a row that she named sequin shades, which basically are mattes with glitter in them. So very pretty, but most people do not like these shades. I have not seen any videos where anybody has mentioned that a couple of the shades in this palette are sequin. I'm not going to say they're quite sequin, because I think the glitter is a bit stronger. But to be honest, they're not that impressive. You can kind of see. It almost reminds me of my palette from last week. they're pretty, you know what I mean? But they behave more like mattes, and we don't need them. This gray is, again, so similar to these. We don't need them. So that is a bummer. A big thing I definitely forgot to mention, that I do feel like that this palette needs is an edit. Is a freaking edit. This is a 10 or 15 pan palette. I don't think it needed all 15 shades. It sure did not. I am so excited for the Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know, whatever. The one that has 2 palettes they're coming out with. Similar to the Scooby-Doo ones that they did before. I think I'm actually really gonna like those. And I really like the fact that it's a slightly smaller palette, 10 shades. You know, I feel like there's just a lot of shades in this that, not a lot, but there's several shades in here that didn't need to be in here, if I am honest. I mean, these shades here, I do like the ones that I did on my look today, but you can edit these out. 1, 2, take out the sequin shades. Another 3, 4, take out one of the grays. 5, boom, boom. You are edited down to a 10 pan palette, and it would have looked great. The shimmers that are actual good shimmers are good. I actually really like them. So yeah, I wish that this palette was more edited down. The artwork, you know, is pretty, so I don't know if that's why the palette is so big. But yeah, I do wish that this palette definitely needed a freaking edit. One thing, and again, this really relates heavily to this brand, so are these shades named? Yes, finally. Finally, I have been so frustrated with Glamlite because they named their palettes and then all of a sudden they stopped, and they would include a little insert sheet that said like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, girl, no, just don't even at that point. Just no, 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 no. Give me names or don't. But I'll be honest, at least for me as a creative person, I just like names. They're fun. I think it's cute. Whatever. And then also, I appreciate when brands do not include names on a plastic sheet. Put them on the palette. Please. Please. I will pay more happily for you to have the shade names on the freaking palette. Ugh. And then lastly, this more relates to who I am as a human, is because of my color blindness, I would love shade descriptions on their website. So unfortunately, this brand does not have that on their website. Some brands have. My top brand right now, on a random note, even though this video is not about them, Notoriously Morbid, is like, they have a couple of things, you know, on this list, and I'm like, meh. Maybe like one that I can think of. They have shade descriptions. They have so much info. And for an indie brand, I'm freaking in love. I am so in love. Want nothing but success for them. Back to the part of this palette. They do not have the shade description. So for myself, I'm again going based off of what I've heard other videos say of, you know, people have said. Allie Dawson had said that this palette was grays and greens. So I'm just guessing that this is green and maybe this is green. I don't know if anything else is quite green. Let me know down below if any of these other ones are green. I wish that they would have done that, because it just makes it easier for people like myself to be able to make looks. So the palette does retail for $32, so really not bad. Now granted, I get it, because Glamlite is a larger brand. They are able to do that more affordable price tag compared to some of our more indie brands, where a palette like this might be around $50 to $80, possibly, like Inslee Rain. I really do appreciate this is a pretty fair price, $32 for this nice palette. One thing that I did want to mention, and if you are here from my Instagram by chance, when I bought this palette originally, I did buy the Hershey's Cookies and Cream, because a lot of people are saying that they do have similarities. And while I will agree that there is some similarities a little bit, not enough. Not enough. I thought that a lot of the shades were going to be a lot more like blue tone gray. There is definitely some like similarity shades in here, or like this gray, sure, is definitely like, there are shades that are in the same palette as the Ghostface one, but I still feel like this palette stands alone on its own. It has like this lightish shade. To be honest, I wish that that was actually in this palette. It's in the highlighter. That was one thing I forgot to mention. I wish that there was a bit more lighter shades in the palette, but that's okay. They do have the highlighter, so I was able to use that as well. The highlighter is 18. So not terrible, not that bad. And it is a really nice highlighter. So yeah, for 18 bucks, you can get the highlighter if you want some lighter sparkling shades that I'm wearing. Okay, I do believe that that is it for today's video. Let me know down below what you do think. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of my rating system. I do need to perfect it more to see if I'm going to score a brand or whatever. So I didn't quite score this, but I would definitely say that I do really like this palette. There's of course some things that I do wish that they would have fixed and or edit down this palette. I really do hope, like I said, will be in the description. I really do hope that they are either hiring somebody or doing in-house the creation of the artwork, because I really couldn't find anything on their website about that. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Let me know down below what you do think. Go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe. I would love to have you join me on this awesome family, and I am more excited to do a lot more reviews and just playing around with makeup and stuff like that. So I will see you all on my next one. Okay, bye.